Oakland blew the game. I think Oakland has the most complete bullpen of anybody. We thought the Yankees did, but they're losing games later. They're not able to. They're not able to hold it close when they're behind 1 or 2. So I want to factor the bullpens out and make it about the starting pitchers, because I just don't have a lot of faith in these bullpens.
The tournament is only hours away. Do you have enough betting knowledge in your bag to cash tickets on Sunday? Join our golf betting experts as they expose value for bettors by analyzing the course, the field, and the matchups. Improve your handicapping with long shots. Ladies and gentlemen, now on the tee, Brady Cannon, Matt Humans, and Wes Reynolds.
Good evening and welcome to Long Shots here on SiriusXM Channel 204, Fubo TV, Sling TV, also the VSiN app and VSiN.com. And boy, I'm coming out of my skin, guys. It's Masters Eve. I can't wait. The first major of the year. Matt Humans and Wes Reynolds alongside to take us through the next hour of only Masters coverage. Make sure you tune in to get your Masters fill, all the picks, all the matchups. We're going to do it for the next hour here on VSiN. Gentlemen, I want to talk first of all about this course and how you handicap the Masters, different from maybe another golf tournament. There's a lot of course history here. We've talked with Joe Pita early in the year. It's one of the most repeatable golf courses. You see course form play a big part here. Wes, I'll start with you. What do you do differently with your Masters handicap other than other tournaments?
You know, I think because they can obviously change the course, but by and large, it's the same venue every year, the only major that has that. But, you know, Fred Couples, I think, former Green Jacket winner here, said it best. This is a second shot golf course. And that's really what I look at. I don't look at necessarily bombers have an edge here or even, you know, really accurate drivers have an edge here. I mean, length is an advantage anywhere you go. But, you know, I'm looking for guys that can hit good approach shots, guys that can scramble. And, I mean, you don't have a lot of rough on this course like you would at a U.S. Open, where they grow the rough, but you know, you do have those pine needles, which can present a big challenge. So I mean, you still want to keep it in the fairway, but also from a putting standpoint, it's bent grass, so they're really fast greens. So you know, ball striking will, I think, negate if you're kind of maybe a shaky or poor putter. If you can hit them close and hit really good second shots, that's going to win you the tournament, I think, on Sunday.
Matt, how about you?
I would look for guys who are great with their short iron play. It's approach, scrambling, and putting. Not only do you have to hit the green, you have to hit the right spots on these greens because they're very tricky, big greens, and just hitting the green's not enough. You got to hit the right spots. I'm looking for guys who are precision short iron players.
Yeah, and we saw iron play be a big thing for Patrick Reed last year in his way to victory. Not the biggest hitter in the world, not the most accurate driver of the golf ball off the tee, but again, it was his exceptional iron play and putting that got it done for him, just like you say, Matt. And for our listeners, Wes, to elaborate a little bit on your point you make about Freddie Couples saying it's a second shot golf course, that's really another way of saying ball striking. It's not necessarily driving your ball off of the tee or the chipping and the putting. It's that second shot where you've got to hit it pure. And like you say, Matt, you've got to hit the greens in regulation and also hit that right spot of the greens. Because there are so many humpbacks and undulations in these greens, you can hit the wrong spot and your ball is going to roll off in whatever direction you don't know. You really have to study the nuances of these greens. And again, like you say, hit that second shot in the proper place. And I think that lends itself to looking at the stat of hole proximity, how close guys are hitting it to the hole. Wes, what are some of the specific stats that you looked at this week?
Well, I mean, I look at strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained approach. I kind of broke down some of the approaches that pointed to a couple guys I like this week. Kind of, you know, how they are maybe from like 75 to 100 or 125 to 150 yards. 100 to 125. That's what stood out with Adam Scott to me, which is one of my guys at 45 to 1. He's first on the tour in approach shots, 75 to 100 yards, and also 100 to 125 yards, and sixth from 125 to 150 yards. So, you know, a guy like that who his putting was kind of his bugaboo with the anchor band and all that stuff, but down to he's 14th in strokes gained putting this year. You combine that with that type of ball striking with a guy that's won here before and has a knowledge of the course. He's been a runner-up here back in 2011 and also won here in 2013. There's something to be said for that. That's a guy with good value down the board.
I bet Adam Scott the last time he won in the playoff at the Masters, but the reason I won't bet him this time, he can't put 4 good rounds together, and I just don't see that. Some guys are just happy with one major win or one green jacket. I don't see that he plays with the edge or that he cares that much about winning anymore.
He just doesn't seem to be at the top of the heap. I mean, he's obviously a world-class player, but he's not in that top 10 or 15 guys.
You can see some guys, Brady, you watch them every week, they're grinding to win. They're really determined to win. I never see that in Adam Scott anymore. I think he wanted to win that one major, and once he won it, I haven't seen him really strive for greatness. I think he's satisfied where he is. Maybe I'll be proven wrong this week because he knows how to play this course, but I just didn't. I did hit him the last time he won the Masters. 2013?
Yes.
It's been that long ago?
Yeah, beat Angel Cabrera in a playoff.
That was a hell of a playoff, too. Remember the putt he hit?
Yeah.
It was about a 30-foot putt that he sank. It's hard to forget that image with his famous caddy. But I have not played Adam Scott much at all since then.
Are you guys, this is a course, we talked about it, and I referenced Joe Pita in his great book, A Masters Preview. He looks into the stroke gained statistics from top to bottom and eventually whittles his way down to a winner who should, play well this year. And along those same lines, we're going to talk with Dave Tyndall, who talks about trends at Augusta. And it's one of those courses where you can really look at the trends because it is the same course, like you say, Wes, and how history repeats itself, like Joe says. You can look at what typically happens at Augusta over the last 20 years or so. We have a graphic of some of these trends that you guys can take a look at here on VSiN.com and the VSiN app. Patrick Reed, I did not bet on Patrick Reed because he went against the trend last year of winning after he had missed the cut the year prior. That hasn't happened in like 15 to 18 years. The guy that misses the cut the year prior doesn't go on to win the next year. Wes, did you look at some of these trends we sent out, and do you put a lot of weight in those at all?
A little bit. I mean, if you look, all of the winners the last 19 years have obviously made a cut here before. 12 of the last 19 have had a prior top 10. But I think a lot of those trends really in the last decade, in the early 2000s, you saw a lot of form guys win here. And, of course, mainly Tiger and Phil and Adam Scott. The 2 years before he won, he was second and eighth. Bubba had a win here in 2013. Or 2012 rather, and then won in 2014. Spieth was second the year before he won. And really the last 3 years have been kind of outliers with Danny Willett was 38th the year before he won. Sergio was 34th. I think his best finish was like an 8th. And Patrick Reed had missed 2 of 4 cuts in the 4 times he was here. So, I mean, I think form does matter, but, you're going to get somebody on the first page of that leaderboard, I think, on Sunday that you wouldn't expect that maybe doesn't have a lot of form here. I mean, John Rahm, I think last year was his first time here. Second time here and finished fourth. Cameron Smith was in the top 5. Henrik Stenson, who didn't have a very good record at Augusta, finished tied for 5th. So Tony Finau obviously finished tied for 10th. So you get some guys up there that maybe there's going to be 1 or 2 guys up there that you don't expect that maybe doesn't have a lot of form to go on. But by and large, I would rather take the guy with form.
Matt, how about some in-game wagering? You and I'll be watching it together on Sunday, and I think these trends are big if you're looking at doing in-game wagering. The last 21 winners of the Masters have come from no greater than 4 shots off the lead on Sunday. So if you're looking to bet a guy, don't take a guy that's 5 or 6 shots or worse than 4 shots. 22 of the last 27 have come from the final pairing on Sunday. And the last 13 winners were in the top 10 after the first round on Thursday. That's incredible.
That's a key one for me.
Yeah.
Last 13 winners in the top 10 after the first round.
So, after we see that first round conclude tomorrow, do you possibly look at the betting board, look at those top 10 guys, and make an additional wager?
Yeah, I'd love to watch the first round, maybe the second round, play some adjusted odds after the first couple rounds. See, you might see something there, and see who's in the top 10, and that's one trend you can follow. Last year, Jordan Spieth had a phenomenal final round.
Oh, incredible.
He shot a 64, I think, on Sunday and finished 2 shots back. Patrick Reed and Ricky Fowler was 1 shot back. Those guys played really well on the final day. But Patrick Reed kind of just held him off for the past last 2 or 3 rounds. And I thought that was a little – I kept waiting for him to kind of fold or collapse, and it never happened. Those guys made a charge, and he held them off. Got to give him credit. The last 3 – and maybe the last 4. I don't know if it was Spieth's first major win, but at least the last 3 winners of the Masters were first-time major winners. Patrick Reed, Garcia, and Danny Willett. And
that goes to Wes's point that these trends that we've seen over the last 20 years, there certainly are some outliers, and it's happened more recently than in the past. We're going to get out of this segment here pretty quick and move on, but before we do, I want to go over who are the few guys that you like this week. Who are a few front runners, some of the shorter odds guys, and who are a few sleepers, maybe a few long shots before we move on.
I'll throw Justin Rose out there, give him one more shot, Brady. You and I finished in the bridesmaid spot with him a couple of years ago. I'm going to give Rose one more shot here at 12-1, even though I typically like to play guys at higher odds. Ricky Fowler is a guy that Wes and I are both going to play. 16-1, I'm going to play him to finish in the top 10 as well. Jeff Sherman at the Westgates talked me into Jon Rahm at right around 18 or 20-1. You could still grab 20 on Jon Rahm, who finished 4th last year.
Right.
Louis Oosthuizen at 40. I got Matt Kuchar at 50. Kuchar's he's got a really strong Augusta track record, which I'll talk about later. But at 50-1, the price is right too. And I grabbed a few guys in the 100-1 range: Kevin Kistner, Gary Woodland, and Charlie Hoffman, who finished 2nd last week and tends to play well at Augusta, just as shots.
Matt already mentioned 2 I'm on, and those are the 2 shorter price guys, which are Ricky Fowler and Jon Rahm. Already mentioned Adam Scott. I also like somebody that Dave Tyndall, our guest, is going to mention in his segment, I believe, is that Hideki Matsuyama, who really fits kind of some of the trend boxes. 30-1, 3rd in strokes gained tee to green, 2nd in strokes gained approach.
Yep.
And if there's some rain this week, I think that that could very much bode well for a guy who has been a little shaky with the putter over the years. But, if a guy can stripe it that close, he's going to eventually make some. It's like you don't have to be a great putter. You're a good putter. You just got to putt good. And I think maybe he can kind of fall into that. Another guy I do like is Paul Casey. I got him at 35. I think he's still probably around 30 somewhere. 6th, 4th, and 6th from 2015 to 2017. Only 15th last year, but Matt brought off Spieth 64, which actually bettered Paul Casey by a shot. But Casey actually, I believe, was like 7 under through the first 13 or 14 holes in that final round last year. And people are like, why are you showing Paul Casey on the TV coverage? It's like, well, he's got a chance to break the course record at Augusta. I mean, he had a chance to shoot 63. He ended up only coming in at 65. But, if a guy can go that low and has a proven track record of those rounds in the mid-60, I think you got to look for him. A couple longer shots. I did add Patrick Cantlay. It was kind of like more a little bit of a hunch play, honestly, at 70-1. I really like the way he played at Riviera. And if you look at some of the guys, there is a little bit of a course correlation here.
A big correlation.
Yeah, Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson, a lot of former
Nick Faldo, Freddie Couples,
a lot of
Adam
former
Scott.
Riviera winners have won here, and I like the way Cantlay played out there. Some of my longer shots, Brent Snedeker 80-1, Ian Poulter 100-1. We've mentioned on the show a couple of the real long bombs. Danny Willett, who I believe both you and I are on, Brady, at 150, and I took a shot with Ha Tong Lee at 200-1.
Well, about the only guy that I'm not sharing with you guys that I do have is Mark Leishman. Mark Leishman has a nice history here. I had him last year at 80-1, and I really thought I had a good ticket, but he was another guy that could not kick Patrick Reed down. We'll get into more of that in our final segment, the match play, with all of our plays, including a head-to-head matchup from each one of us. And I want to thank the Westgate Resort and Casino. They are are responsible for bringing you the Long Shot Show. It's home of the world-famous Superbook and NFL Super Contest. You've heard us reference this iconic Las Vegas resort and casino thousands of times here on VSiN, and we want you to experience this classic piece of Las Vegas history yourself. Elvis Presley performed here, Leon Spinks, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, they all boxed here. Now it's your turn to make history at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino, located adjacent to the Las Vegas Convention Center, one block off of the Strip and across the street from amazing golf at the historic Las Vegas Country Club. Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino offers the finest amenities, spacious rooms, world-famous dining options, and legendary performers like nowhere else. In addition to the property's decorated history, fantastic shows, expansive gaming floor, and of course the Superbook, Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino guests are given special access to the exclusive private club, Las Vegas Country Club, located right out the hotel's back door. Play where Dean Martin teed it up, where both the PGA and LPGA tours have held professional tournaments. The Las Vegas Country Club is like no other course in the desert, with its tree-lined fairways, glistening water features, and a park-like setting. Book your stay and play today at Westgate Las Vegas. WestgateVegas.com. That's WestgateVegas.com, or call 702-732-5631. 702-732-5631, and make your next reservation in Las Vegas quite a super booking. We'll be back with a member guest segment. It's VSiN right here on Long Shots in Las Vegas.
Four.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Do you respect what Jim Nantz does with the toast? Because Brian Rogers here burns the hell out of his toast. I can't believe he can eat it. But Nantz actually walks around with a picture of his toast. He says, burn the hell out of it, and he'll show the waitress, this is how I want it.
I actually do like the move, yeah.
No mistakes.
Right. And because then they really can't screw it up. Like if you tell the server, like, I want my toast burnt, they might come out, in their opinion, it could be just slightly charred. And he's like, no. I mean, like, over the top black. I want it crusty. I want it super hard. I want it like Brian did. And he's just sitting there chomping away like this. He's breaking his teeth. You're like, how is that enjoyable? How is that good, Brian? How do you like that?
Yeah, sure.
That's right. It's all poor basic food.
Bet the over on how many you think are sold.
In a day?
In a day, yeah.
Oh. You know the answer?
I know this.
Give me a line.
I know this week, these 4 days.
Yeah.
What if I said to you over 2,500?
Oh, no. Under.
Under?
Under 2,500.
I'm sorry, Gil.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
2,500?
Jeff, you like the over?
I would have guessed about 3,200.
Yeah, well, Jeff, you're a lot closer to it.
Fed him the answer? 3,200, he said.
You would have done better with that than your Villanova bet. Sorry.
18 seconds. 67. Got to hit the three here. Actually,
take the layup.
We'll take the layup.
I'll take the layup
because that's at least a push here. 76, 69, 12.2. They're going to foul. Let them dribble it out. Come on. Dribble it out.
Dribble it out.
Yeah.
We're going to cover. We're going to cover.
There we go. 7-point game.
Yeah. They dribbled it out. Here's the thing. If that guy wanted to be a jerk, he could have just windmilled that and ripped the rim off.
He could have done.
You see how excited Humans is right now? Look at that.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to be a twisted person to do this stuff and sweat these games out like this. It drives me crazy sometimes. Whew. Can we take a break?
Man, I would say obviously getting an app somewhere, at least one, is very important. Mm-hmm. I say stock up and get ready for a very, very, very long weekend, whether that's getting chapstick because it's dry out here and your lips get dry and they start cracking after a few days, whether it's going to a drugstore and getting some cheap booze, whether it's going to a legal dispensary and getting those kind of products that are not legal to use inside of a casino, but you can legally buy them. There's really a lot of prep. I'm also big on making sure you have your mobile chargers because we're all on our phones all day. And when you're out at a sports book or a party for 12 hours, you're bound to run out of energy on your phone. So make sure you have a USB cable or a full charger in your pocket so that you don't lose communication with your friends.
Welcome back to Long Shots, VSiN's weekly golf betting show. Now, back to your betting caddies, Brady Cannon, Matt Humans, and Wes Reynolds.
Welcome back to Long Shots. Alongside Wes Reynolds and Matt Humans, it's Brady Cannon, and it is Masters Week. As you know, this is the member guest segment, and we'll get with Dave Tyndall here just in a moment. It is brought to you by Reflection Bay at Lake Las Vegas. It is the crown jewel of the billion-dollar Lake Las Vegas resort and community. It is the first Jack Nicklaus-designed resort golf course in the state of Nevada, and it completely lives up to the reputation of the architect. Since opening in 1998, the course has been awarded many different accolades, including America's Top Golf Destinations by Golf Medalist, Top 100 Course by Golf Magazine, America's Top Golf Communities by Travel and Leisure, Best New Upscale Course by Golf Digest, and Best Overall Experience by Vegas Golfer Magazine. Golf packages are available now that include rounds of golf at Reflection Bay and rooms at the Westin Lake Las Vegas, the resort that overlooks the stunning lake and has recently gone through a $40 million renovation. The Westin Lake Las Vegas and Reflection Bay are a perfect pairing for a family vacation, a romantic getaway, or a corporate event. If you haven't been to or played Reflection Bay at Lake Las Vegas, you need to come see what all the excitement is all about. For information on tee times and golf packages, visit reflectionbaygolf.com or call 702-736-0505. And without further ado, we do bring in our guest, Dave Tyndall, kind enough to join us from the UK. He's staying up late this evening. You can find his work at betfair.com. I go there every week to see what Dave has to say. Welcome to Masters Week, Dave.
Hi, Brady. How are you?
I'm great. Good to have you on, and thank you for making time for us. I know you were on earlier in the week with Gil Alexander on his show, A Numbers Game, and I want to touch briefly on an article that you do for every Masters that I think is very interesting. The Masters is such a history-based course. You can really apply trends that apply to the Masters, and I know you've done a 10-year look at some of the most powerful qualification criteria for the Masters. It deals with age, where they are ranked in the world, how you've finished at Augusta in the past. Tell us a little bit about your column on the trends that you look at for Augusta National.
Yeah, so this is obviously the best major to do it on because it's at the same course every year. So I've gone through the last 10 years, and each of these categories that I'm going to talk about now, these apply to 9 of the last 10 Masters winners. So you've got to be aged under 40, which is not good for Tiger and Phil, unfortunately, ranked in the world's top 30, to played in at least one Masters. We all know the Fuzzy Zeller stat. Had a top 30 at Augusta National. Again, you've just had to got your eye in to do something at the course. Posted a top 10 earlier that season. That's kind of fairly basic. If you're not posting a top 10, you're struggling really, aren't you, for form? Not the defending champion, Sir Patrick Reed. Sorry about that. And then the one that gets people's kind of frustration, not the world number one, but it's just a quirk. It's kind of me. I'm just beholden to the numbers. I'm not really saying that won't happen, but these are the trends. So they're the main ones, and that would knock the field down, Brady, to about 10 left after that.
And after those 10, where do you come down to? Is Rory McIlroy still in the mix? How do we whittle it down, and who's your eventual winner according to the trends?
Yeah, so there's a lot of good guys still left at that stage. I think maybe the only one that would go, surprisingly, would be Tony Finau, who's not had a top 10 this season. Obviously, world number one puts pay to Justin Rose. So then we get some of the other ones, such as current form. And the one I like, which I think does knock a couple of big names out, is 9 of the last 10 Masters winners had a top 15 in the stroke play events in March or April. So that gets rid of Justin Thomas and Bryson DeChambeau, because they've not managed that, even though they've had some good form earlier in the season. That knocks them out. And then another couple that really whittle it down to one name. Winning form in the United States. This is a new filter that I put on. It's saying 8 of the last 10 Masters winners had posted a win on American soil in the last 2 years. So for somebody like Louis Oosthuizen, he's never won in America, which is a big surprise, but there it is. That's the stat. So he would fall there. And then the other one, which gets rid of some of the main guys, well, most of the main guys, is that 8 of the last 10 Masters winners had an SP of 20 to 1 or higher. So people like Rory have gone, John Rahm have gone, Justin Rose have gone. So that really does sort of knock out those that had survived all these hurdles, because maybe we think a lot of favourites do win because Jordan Spieth won, but Bubba was over 20-1 when he won. Adam Scott was, Sergio was. So that does knock some big names out. So are we down to the multi-million-dollar question now? Who's left?
Yeah, who you got? Who's your guy according to the trends?
Yeah, so after all that, and I had no idea how this would turn out, and I was hoping it wouldn't be someone obvious, and I don't think it is someone obvious. So you put all that through, and one name emerges, and it's Hideki Matsuyama.
Hideki Matsuyama would be the first major champion for a Japanese player, and I think it's worthwhile, Dave. I think Hideki has got a great chance, and you can find him here in the States in the neighborhood of 35-40-1, which is a great number. Now, I know you followed that up with a second piece, not necessarily according to the trends, but just according to your research and the typical handicapping that you do, and you came up with a few other guys, Jon Rahm, Bubba Watson, and Matt Kuchar. Talk to us briefly about the chances you think for each of these gentlemen.
Yeah, Jon Rahm, I think it was a big moment for him last year in the Masters when he finished fourth. He'd struggled not at a top 20 in a major before that, so that was a breakthrough. And I think this course, there's some good quotes from Rahm where he said Phil Mickelson told him you don't need to be perfect at Augusta National. Even if you hit it loose, you can get through the trees. There's ways to make up your mistakes. So I think Rahm, the negative for Rahm, people will say, oh, he's going to let off steam. He'll get too bothered by something. But I think he can maybe breathe easier here than maybe on somewhere more penal like a US Open course. So I think Jon Rahm has got a massive chance this week. So he's my number one pick, non-trends. And then Bubba, I just think Bubba's such an amazing fit, isn't he, for this course? I know you've had Joe. We've had Joe Peter. Have you seen his book that he's done about strokes gained?
Great book.
Yes, brilliant, isn't it? My favourite thing I've read, I think, in the lead up. And he noted how amazing Bubba's stats were off strokes gained off the tee. So I think if Bubba can do that again, and Bubba is second on the strokes gained off the tee stats this year, so he's doing that strength of his game. That's how it's acting out this year. So if he can get his drives away in play, I think he's got such a big advantage over so many players. So I think he's a really nice bet around. We've got him about 33-1. Is that the same in Vegas?
Yeah, he's right in that neighborhood. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he's one, I think, as well as the 2 wins. He was fifth last year. So it's not just boom or bust for Bubba. I think he can. He can play well without necessarily winning, but I think he's got a great chance. He's had a couple of top fours this season. And then the other one, which I'm looking at your list, I can't see him on there, Matt Kuchar.
Yeah, Kuchar is anywhere from 35-40-1 here.
Yeah, so he's maybe just off the bottom of that list. He's in the form of his life. He's had 4 top 10s the last 7 Masters. And he's got a bit of a mean streak to him, hasn't he, these days? So I think maybe this could be Kuchar's chance to get that first major.
Dave, before we go back kind of to the overall futures market, one of the unique things we get in a major, especially like the Masters, is we get a lot of the index props where you're not necessarily picking the winner, but you can make a lot of money going with these index props like top Asian, top European, top amateur, top debutante. Anything in those markets kind of stand out to you or jump out at you this week?
I think we always like the top German, don't we? Because we always play Bernhard Langer against Martin Keimer. I think as Langer won 6 of the last 7, Langer's normally the underdog in those matchup. So if the top debutants, I really like Keith Mitchell for that. I think he's got a fantastic chance because he's played. He's got experience of the course from kind of the past, even though it's his first time here, and hits it big, hits it long, in good form. When in Florida, that's always a good build-up event. So, yeah, I think that's the one I like. I think some of the other debutants, maybe like Eddie Pepperell, who played great at Sawgrass, but I'm not so sure he can just jump in and play so well at Augusta. So, yeah, Mitchell would be my top debutant.
All right, Dave, and another one I wanted to ask you about, and you wrote a column for Betfair on the first-round leader, which is always kind of a interesting handicap in golf. And there were 3 guys that really stood out to you, but the first guy is actually the hometown boy from Augusta National, and that's Charles Howell III, who had his best finish, I believe, since 2004 last season at 19th, and you tapped him at 66-1.
Yeah, I like how it's a good story, isn't it, this week if he can play well? And obviously got that win at the back end of 2018, which gives him a lot of confidence. And you kind of forget what he's done here before because it's been a while, hasn't it? But so when you check back and he had a decent result the last time he played, I think he's a much more mature golfer. This time, I think his numbers look good. I was looking at kind of recent driving distance, scrambling and putting stats. He's kind of in the top 20 over an 8-week period that I looked at. So I think he's got the game, and if he can be inspired by the local crowds rather than kind of be intimidated and try to do too much, I think he's got a big chance. And maybe not to play 4 rounds well, but I think he can ride those good vibes and maybe get out early and have a really good first day.
Dave Tyndall is our guest. He's a sports writer, contributes to William Hill and also Betfair, based out of the UK. And Dave, I want to ask you about a couple of matchups, not necessarily who you think is going to win the matchup, but I'd like to hear your opinion. I think there's obviously they create a number of matchups for the Masters, all different ways. And I found a few that I think are pretty compelling. First of all, Phil Mickelson and Adam Scott. They are in a matchup that is about a pick'em. I wonder who you think is going to have a good week or a bad week. What do you think about Mickelson and Scott this week?
It's tricky because I see that as Scott I would pencil in for something solid like 20th, whereas Phil, I could see him going either way. So I find that quite a tough one.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, I'll give you another one, and this one's also about pick'em. I know you're on Bubba Watson, but you also mentioned Louis Oosthuizen. They are paired in a matchup together, and again, about a pick'em price, Bubba Watson and Louis. Who do you like there?
That's a tough one as well. I had a little bit of money on Louis anti-post, and I think he'll do well. But I think if both play their best there, I'm on Bubba.
All right, one more for you, and that's Jon Rahm. I know he is your top pick to win it all. He is paired in a matchup against Justin Thomas, who has a nice progressive trend going here in what will be his 4th Masters. He's improved upon his position every year. And again, this one's also at about pick'em, Rahm versus Thomas.
Yeah, of the 3 you've mentioned, I'm the most confident I would be is that one and go with Rahm. I think Thomas should do well at Augusta National one day, but I just think his form's tailed off a little bit in recent weeks. So maybe he's going to go there. I think tied 17th is his best. So, yeah, I'm with Rahm there.
All right, one more question before we let you go, Dave. What's your opinion? We have to ask this of everybody. What is the big cat going to do? Tiger, do you expect a good week or maybe miss the cut?
No, a good week from Tiger. I'm not seeing the fairy tale win or anything, but I think Tiger can maybe just sneak into the top 10 and have a really nice week, but not a winning week.
I'm with you. I think a top 10 might be a good bet on Tiger, and you can get a plus price on that. That is Dave Tyndall, a writer for Betfair. Please check his stuff out each and every week for golf, betfair.com. And thank you so much for joining us, Dave. Enjoy the Masters.
Yeah, and you, Brady. Thank you.
All right. That is Dave Tyndall, and a wealth of information, one of the best guys in the UK, Wes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is required reading, I think, if you're going to be a golf bettor and kind of be serious about this. His work is at Betfair, William Hill, and really, I think, knows those markets. And I think what you can see with a lot of these different markets, the UK markets are probably a little more advanced and sophisticated than our markets are. Hopefully, we're going to be able to play catch-up, though, in that regard as this becomes legal in more and more states across the country.
Well, we will be back, and Matt Humans will rejoin the program, and we'll have Jeff Sherman of the Westgate as we get into the Major Implications segment here on Long Shots on VSiN.
Last week, here's some of what you missed.
Do you respect what Jim Nantz does with the toast? As Brian Rogers here burns the hell out of his toast. I can't believe he can eat it. But Nantz actually walks around with a picture of his toast. He says, burn the hell out of it, and he'll show the waitress, this is how I want it.
I actually do like the move, yeah.
No mistakes.
Right. And because then they really can't screw it up. Like if you tell the server, like, I want my toast burnt, they might come out, in their opinion, it could be just slightly charred. And he's like, no. I mean, like, over the top black. I want it crusty. I want it super hard. I want it like Brian did. And he's just sitting there chomping away like this. He's breaking his teeth. You're like, how is that enjoyable? How is that good, Brian? How do you like that?
Yeah, sure.
Gotcha. Hits all your four basic food.
Bet the over on how many you think have sold.
In a day?
In a day, yeah.
Oh, you know the answer?
I know this.
Give me a line.
I know this week, these 4 days.
Yeah.
What if I said to you over 2,500?
Oh no, under. Under 2,500.
I'm sorry, Gil.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
2,500.
Jeff, you like the over?
I would have guessed about 3,200.
Yeah, well, Jeff, you're a lot closer to it.
Fed him the answer. 3,200. He said.
You would have done better with that than your Villanova bet. Sorry.
18 seconds.
67. Got to hit the 3 here. Actually,
take the layup.
We'll take the layup.
I'll take the layup
because that's at least a push here. 76, 69, 12.2. They're going to foul. Let them dribble it out. Come on. Dribble it out.
Dribble it out.
Dribble it out.
Dribble it out.
Don't. Yeah.
We're going to cover. We're going to cover.
There we go. 7-point game.
Yeah. They dribbled it out. Here's the thing. If that guy wanted to be a jerk, he could have just windmilled that and ripped the rim off.
He could have done.
You see how excited Humans is right now? Look at that.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to be a twisted person to do this stuff and bet to sweat these games out like this. It's driving me crazy sometimes. Whew. Can we take a break?
Man, I would say obviously getting an app somewhere, at least one, is very important.
Mm-hmm.
I say stock up and get ready for a very, very, very long weekend, whether that's getting chapstick because it's dry out here and your lips get dry and they start cracking after a few days, whether it's going to a drugstore and getting some cheap booze, whether it's going to a legal dispensary and getting those kind of products that are not legal to use inside of a casino, but you can legally buy them. There's really a lot of prep. I'm also big on making sure you have your mobile chargers because we're all on our phones all day. And when you're out at a sports book or a party for 12 hours, you're bound to run out of energy on your phone. So make sure you have a USB cable or a full charger in your pocket so that you don't lose communication with your friends.
Welcome back to Long Shots, VSiN's weekly golf betting show. Now, back to your betting caddies, Brady Cannon, Matt Humans, and Wes Reynolds.
Welcome back to Long Shots. It is the Major Implications segment, and it is brought to you by Bali High. A course that rates the highest in each factor is Bali High Golf Club, a tropical golf paradise located on the Las Vegas Strip and in the shadows of some of the most famous hotels in the world. At Bali High, designed by award-winning architects Brian Schmidt and Lee Curley, you will find hundreds of mature palm trees, lagoon-like water features, beautiful bunkering, and a stunning clubhouse home to the Sealy Restaurant, an indoor-outdoor patio experience, and a vet space. The course offers Bluetooth technology, caddies upon request, Jell-O shots, model-like beverage cart staff, VIP service from curb to course and back again, high-quality food and beverage, and a par 3 challenge where you can double your money with one swing. The stunning Bali High Golf Club, located in the heart of the Las Vegas Strip, is a golf jackpot, and there are many reasons why. Play today. To learn more about the Bali High experience or reserve your tee time today, call 702-450-8000 or visit BaliHighGolfClub.com. That's BALIHAI golfclub.com. And now we continue with our Major Implications segment, and we're going to bring in another guest because it's all Masters all the time this week. And we go to the Westgate Resort and Casino, our fine show sponsor here, and bring in their odds maker, Jeff Sherman, one of the top golf odds makers in the entire world. Jeff, it's Masters Eve. You got to be as excited as the rest of us. Welcome to the show. And I want to ask you, how is it for the Masters different from you setting odds and handicapping the event other than other tournaments? Is there a different method to your madness when you're setting the numbers for the Masters versus other majors or other week-to-week tournaments on the tour?
Well, definitely the other majors because of this being played on the same course, but I really put more stock in course form as a weighted average versus current form for Augusta than any other tournament on tour. You know, we've seen oftentimes where a golfer's coming in poor form to Augusta that has played well and plays well again at Augusta. So we put more stock into that than we do other tournaments.
Follow him on Twitter at Golf Odds. And Brady insulted you by calling you one of the best golf odds makers in the world. We know you're the best, Jeff. When you're looking at players you're looking at guys you might play in matchups or fade in matchups this week. Are you looking to play against Phil Mickelson, Patrick Reed, Sergio Garcia, guys like that? I think based on discussions with you, those might be three guys you're playing against in matchups this week.
You know, I really look. It depends who they're matched up against. Right. So I found one of them. I found was Rahm against Garcia, and I'm on Rahm and against Garcia. So you're right in that regard. But for the other ones, one guy I couldn't believe that was actually on the market screen was Angel Cabrera. So that was an automatic go against. And it really just depends. Reed, as a defending champion, he has not been in good form, and I don't like defending champions in majors anyway. I was surprised when Brooks Koepka went back-to-back at the U.S. Open. But, Reed was the guy I was looking to fade. I really didn't find anyone to fade him with. I didn't want to go on Stenson against him because Stenson's been running very poorly too. So, that's the way that I like to handicap these is to find the guy to go against.
Jeff, one of the things that they can see on your Twitter at Golf Odds is you really do a good job of breaking down kind of the ticket count versus the money wagered of what you guys have at Superbook USA. And I know you guys have had the Masters up for several months right now. Who are the leaders over there in both the ticket count and the money wagered?
Yeah, that's been fluctuating a lot today. And currently, Ricky Fowler just keeps picking up steam. Right now, he's number one in ticket count. Second is Tommy Fleetwood, then Tiger, then we got McIlroy and Tony Finau. And as far as money wagered, it goes Tiger, Fowler, Spieth, McIlroy, and Rose. So right now you can tell that Tiger and Fowler are a couple of our liabilities.
Jeff, you talk about Ricky Fowler having a lot of liability, and of course Tiger is popular no matter what golf tournament he's playing in. I asked you this question earlier in the week. Is this the biggest handle you expect to ever have really in the history of the tournament, or as long as that you've been working at the Westgate Superbook? It seems the buzz of this tournament is the star power, as well as Tiger's been playing. It just seems like it could very easily be the biggest Masters handle ever.
Yeah, that's what we're expecting. I mean, it's now on pace to surpass that, and it's just been coming fast and furious today. We've been taking large wagers. I took a $3,000 one on McIlroy at 9-1, $3,000 on Fowler at 16-1. So the top guys that are leading the odds list are getting the large wagers on them, and the handle just keeps growing.
That's interesting. The Rory is where do you have Rory right now? 7-1 or 8-1?
I'm at 8-1, and I went as high as 9-1 today because he was in such a favorable position at the book that we had some room to sell him off, and we went definitely above market to try to induce some of that money and reduce some of our other liabilities, and I was able to attract some at 9-1, so I'm back to 8-1 on him now.
I know in past couple of years, Dustin Johnson has been your starting point at times in this tournament, and he's the second choice. And I think you have him at 10-1. We haven't heard a lot about DJ this week. Obviously he missed the tournament. Was it last year or 2 years ago when he fell down the stairs?
2 years.
That was 2 years ago when he supposedly fell down the stairs and missed the tournament. How do you think DJ is going to play this week? And how much betting interest have you had on him? Because for a guy who's been a favorite in this event in the past, I haven't heard much at all about DJ this week.
I think that bodes well for him. He's not going in with the pressure of being number one like that year that he fell down the stairs. There's a lot of pressure going into that tournament anyway, expectations from that. So he's kind of sitting there nice and quiet. And, I did bump him up to 12-1 a few days ago and saw some sharp money on him at 12-1, which caused me to go back to 10-1. So I do have the expectation that he's going to be right there. And it wouldn't surprise me if he won. And he's the type of golfer that can go out there and win by a few shots. We've seen it before.
And Jeff, I know that both you and your better half at Mrs. Golf Odds post her plays for the Masters, and Rory McIlroy is her top selection, who we talked about earlier. Who are your top guys here for this week?
I've got 4 that I really went in with pretty strong, and I've sprinkled some elsewhere on others, but the ones that I have are Justin Rose at 14, John Rahm at 20, which I thought was the best value, finding him at 20 or higher in this stabilized market at this time. Hideki Matsuyama I got at 50-1, and a longer shot Gary Woodland at 100-1.
Jeff, I want to ask you before we let you go, you talk about some of the guys at the top of the board who are receiving some attention. How about some longer shots? Anybody, you mentioned Matsuyama at 50, Gary Woodland, I got him at a real high price at your store. Anybody that is a longer shot that you've been seeing some sharp attention on?
Well, it's really been coming in the past few days on Charlie Hoffman with what he did last week in Texas, and everyone knows he gets off to solid starts here at Augusta. So he was as high as 125-1. I was even taking money today on him at 80 and had to go 60 because he represents one of our liabilities for some of the longer guys out there. And then, of course, you always see it on Freddie Couples, and our largest liability we have on anybody is on Angel Cabrera this week.
Interesting. Freddie Couples is at what, 300-1?
Yeah, and you just, no matter what, you always see the money on him. So, we don't have to go too high. When I was at 500, it really showed up.
I could see that. Freddie, he knows that course. He can play well there. And I was one of the guys who bet Charlie Hoffman at 80-1. He played so well last week, and he's got a pretty good track record at Augusta. Like you said, he starts well. I would not be surprised to see Hoffman up on that leaderboard on the first or second day. Jeff, what are your plans for the Westgate this weekend? I know you put up adjusted odds after the first, second, and third rounds. Will you do live betting on Sunday no matter what? You going to do offer in-game prices on Sunday afternoon?
We're going to do live wagering on the outright market all day Saturday and Sunday for the third and fourth round. So from start to finish, we'll have that available. And like you mentioned, we'll do updated odds after each round the next 3 days. We'll also do a slew of second, third, and fourth round matchups, plus do some over-under scores, which that might get intriguing for Sunday's final round.
Yep.
That is Jeff Sherman. He's the Vice President of Risk Management at the Las Vegas Westgate Resort and Casino. Thanks so much for joining us, Jeff, and enjoy the Masters.
All right, thanks. You guys, too.
Follow him.
Best golf odds maker in the world, Brady.
Yeah, well, I was about to say one of the best in the country, and I went, no way. He was one of the best in the world, absolutely.
And the fact that you could see he has passion for the sport, too, which I think absolutely helps.
There's a lot of odds makers and shops around the world that copy his stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
He is the guy. And we will be coming back with Match Play, our final segment where we give out some plays. Keep it here on VSiN. It's Long Shots.
Here's some of what you missed.
Again, I learned my lesson back in 2004, biggest bet of my life at the time. After having a great March Madness, I bought UConn down to a point. How dumb was that? That was the Chris Duhon game.
Hey, that's how you learn. Baptism by fire. I mean, the first time I came to town, I was having dinner at the cafe I was at, and I walked down like, oh, wow. The Reds hit 18 times on roulette. That can't continue.
Sure.
Three strips of the ATM. Yep. There goes rent. I was 22 years old. Absolutely. You never bet against streaks. You bet on them.
So the theme of a numbers game, which is an analytics-based show, and for as many sophisticated bets as we do, one of the things that I always drive home is what you think is square is not nearly as square as you think it is. You're not as smart as you think you are, poo-pooing such things. So yes, I get it. You may not have $15,000 to throw at something like this. But the guy that you're the guy that you're sort of dismissing making this bet, listen to me now closely. Listen to me. I'm going to say it very quietly. Is the most successful sports bettor I know. Period.
So Gonzaga, to me, I think they hit the reset button off a loss like that when you're on such a good winning streak. They've blown out teams all year. They get their center Tilly back, who wasn't even with Gonzaga when they beat Duke earlier in November. And I think you have a team that's got size. Hachimura is an NBA player, first rounder. They've got shooters. They've got experience. I think this is a really tough team in the tournament. I think they could beat Duke again if they face them. That's another coin flip game. I don't see Gonzaga going out early in this tournament. They're going to get the winner of Syracuse and Baylor. That's a Gonzaga win. They're going to get potentially Murray State, Marquette, Florida State. After that, I think those are Gonzaga wins. I think this team has a pretty good path to the Final Four.
Welcome back to Long Shots, VSiN's weekly golf betting show. Now, back to your betting caddies, Brady Cannon, Matt Humans, and Wes Reynolds.
Welcome back to Long Shots. It is the match play segment where we give out our plays, our head-to-head matchups and whatnot for the Masters. It is brought to you by Tee Times USA. It is not just a .com. Behind our technology stands a caring staff of golfification experts who are just a phone call away throughout your quoting, booking, and entire travel experience. Because Tee Times USA is one of the country's most trusted leaders in golfifications, we have access to the best deals and those hard-to-get tee times, even on some private clubs. Tee Times USA offers custom golf vacations and packages wherever you want to play, whether it be Florida, Las Vegas, Arizona, Hilton Head, Palm Springs, Myrtle Beach, Sea Island, Kiowa, Scottsdale, Pebble Beach, and many other locations. 28 years of experience as the golf travel industry leader. Save time and money, no transaction or service fees. All we do is help with local, unbiased expertise. Easy, convenient, and hassle golf-free vacation planning. Your initial phone call to your final putt on the 18th hole. Be sure to mention VSiN to receive special amenities as a part of your trip. Visit teatimesusa.com or call 800-374-8633 for more details. Your next dream golf vacation is right at your fingertips. Gentlemen, we're at the end of our show here. We don't have a ton of time, so Wes, give me what you got for the Masters, the 83rd edition.
Okay, I'll do most of my discussion on some props here because I mentioned the futures that you could see on the graphic. Couple props I took. I took Matsuyama. If I like him potentially to win the tournament, I like him at minus 110 to be the top Asian in the field. Adam Scott I took at 15-2 plus 750 for the low former champion. And also a longer shot that I took for the top debutant, and that is Victor Hovland, 25-1. Victor Hovland, number 3 amateur in the world, U.S. amateur champion, tied for second in the Euro AM last year. He's not even the best on his own team at Oklahoma State, which were the defending NCAA champions last year. Matthew Wolff is just ahead of him, the number 2 amateur in the world. But I think he's going to like this week and maybe not having to be second best in practice every day, knowing that he's, well, I'm just against the best in the world, so there's no pressure. So Victor Hovland to be the top rookie at 25-1.
All right, futures. I got Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler, John Rahm in the teens. Also have Matt Kuchar, Charlie Hoffman. I played a few more. I think I've actually got 9 players in futures at this point. Gary Woodland's a guy I share with you, Brady. I got him at 100 or 125-1. Matchups, I'm going to go Matt Kuchar. Really has good Augusta track record and in good form this season over Sergio Garcia. Kuchar minus 145. Kevin Kistner plus money over Patrick Reed. Also looking, those are Westgate matchups. If you look around town, you can find a couple others. At William Hill, Hideki Matsuyama, minus 140 over Patrick Reed. And how about Zach Johnson? Nobody talks about him much anymore. Won this tournament over a decade ago. He's at about 150-1, but I'm going to play him at minus 130 over Lucas Biergaard. And that's about it. That's about it for matchups. I've got a handful of matchups, only 2 I put on the graphic right there.
Well, I'm with you, Matt. I have probably another 4 or 5 futures in my pocket, but those are probably my top 5 right now. Louis Oosthuizen, Mark Leishman, Matt Kuchar, Gary Woodland, Hideki Matsuyama, and John Rahm. And I put the numbers up that I got them at. Those numbers are not all available currently. Some are close anyway. And then the matchup I like, Wes, a guy you're on for a future, a long shot, Patrick Cantlay over Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith has really been in poor form form, and it's a pretty heavy price to pay, -150 Cantley over Smith. But I'm looking here at the South Point, and might run to the window after the show here. They've got Cantley at -125 over Smith, so some good value certainly here at the South Point in that matchup. That is going to do it for our show, your Masters preview. Gentlemen, enjoy the first round. I know you guys are going to be working together on the edge. You'll be viewing the coverage, I imagine, as you speak during the show. Any special things you got going for the edge for round one?
We're working on that, Brady. Now, but if you tune in tomorrow, you will find out a blockbuster show is lined up between me and Wes Reynolds. We have some special guests. We're going to talk a lot of Masters tomorrow. It's amazing the tournament's already here. You know, we look forward to this tournament for months. It starts tomorrow morning.
Well, I know they were talking about kicking off this long shots show right as the Masters begun. I'm glad we got it underway well before that, almost in mid-season form here, guys. Can't wait. Have a good Masters, everybody. Make some money, cash your tickets. We'll see you next week here on Long Shots on VSiN.
Check out the VSiN store for the latest and greatest in sports betting fashion. You'll find VSiN shirts and hats for any occasion. They're made to order so you can find the right design, color, and size. We have more than 30 shirt designs, but some of the more popular collections include our Lucky Numbers collection. Are you an underdog bettor? Maybe a +7.5 is your number. Maybe +3.5. Are you an under player? It's not under until it's over is our most popular shirt design. Maybe you're recovering from a bad beat? We have a shirt to make you look better than you feel. If you're a fan of a particular VSiN show, we have a shirt for you too, including one with Brent's favorite phrase, "Cashing tickets is what it's all about." Those shirts, plus other designs, VSiN hats, and even VSiN coffee mugs are all available in our online store. Go to vsin.com/store. That's vsin.com/store. And if you have a suggestion for a shirt design, let us know. If we make it, you'll get the first one free.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Do you respect what Jim Nantz does with the toast? Because Brian Rogers here burns the hell out of his toast. I can't believe he can eat it. But Nantz actually walks around with a picture of his toast. He says, burn the hell out of it, and he'll show the waitress, this is how I want it.
I actually do like the move, yeah.
No mistakes.
Right. And because then they really can't screw it up. Like if you tell the server, like, I want my toast burnt, they might come out, in their opinion, it could be just slightly charred. And he's like, no. I mean like over the top black. I want it crusty. I want it super hard. I want it like Brian did. And he's just sitting there chomping away like this. He's breaking his teeth. You're like, how is that enjoyable? How is that good, Brian? How do you like that?
Yeah, sure.
Gotcha. Hits all your 4 basic food.
And bet the over on how many you think are sold.
In a day?
In a day, yeah.
Oh, you know the answer?
I know this.
Give me the line.
I know this week, these 4 days.
Yeah.
What if I said to you over 2,500?
Oh no, under. Under 2,500.
I'm sorry, Gil.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
2,500.
Jeff, you like the over?
I would have guessed about 3,200.
Yeah, well, Jeff, you're a lot closer to it.
Fed him the answer. 3,200. He said.
You would have done better with that than your Villanova bet. Sorry.
18 seconds.
67. Got to hit the 3 here. Actually,
take the layup.
We'll take the layup.
I'll take the layup
because that's at least a push here. 76, 69. 12.2. They're going to foul. Let them dribble it out. Come on. Dribble it out.
Dribble it out. Dribble it out.
Dribble it out.
Dribble it out.
Don't. Yeah.
We're going to cover. We're going to cover.
There we go. 7-point game.
Yeah. They dribbled it out. Here's the thing. If that guy wanted to be a jerk, he could have just windmilled that and ripped the rim off.
He could have done.
You see how excited Humans is right now?